Good day and welcome to the UFC 214 conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Matt Radmanovich. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, and hi everyone, and welcome to the UFC 214 conference call. UFC 214 takes place Saturday, July 29th at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, and features an incredible 3 title bouts. Joining us today, we have the 2 contenders for the Open Women's Featherweight Championship, Brazilian legend Cris Cyborg versus the Invicta Bantamweight Champion, Tonya Evinger. Then we also have the 2 men squaring off for the welterweight title, Demian Maia, who's riding a 7-fight win streak, versus the reigning champion, Tyron Woodley. And lastly, we have one of the most anticipated rematches in UFC history, with arguably one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters ever returning to challenge for the belt he was forced to vacate in Jon Jones, and he'll be competing against the reigning undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel Cormier. This card is loaded with an incredible storylines, and with that, I'll turn it over for questions.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your phone. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute button is turned off so that your signal can reach our equipment. Once again, press star 1 to ask a question, and we'll pause for a moment to give everyone an opportunity to ask a question and to assemble the queue. Once again, press star 1 for questions. And once again, star 1 on your phone. We'll take our first question from Damon Martin with MMAweekly.com. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, first question is for Jon Jones. Jon, obviously it's been a while since you've been in the octagon. You've had to go through a lot to get back to here. How big is this fight in terms of your legacy and your career because of everything you've had to go through over these last couple of years?
I think can you hear me clearly?
Yep, I can hear you.
I think it's a really, really big fight, for my legacy. The last time something bad has happened, something really majorly has gone wrong, it was 2 years ago. And I think people fail to really realize that. Over the last 2 years, I feel like I've really done the right things to get my life back in order. I've paid for the things I've done wrong. I've faced the time for the things I've done wrong. And then I had this estrogen blocker situation happen. And I think it sent me backwards, majorly backwards. And I've actually been really proud of myself for just cleaning up my life. And the perception is that my life is still maybe a little out of control. But if you actually knew me, and if you lived in Albuquerque and you saw my relationships with people and the community and the way things are turning around for me, you would see things differently. The UFC 200 situation really, really sent me backwards. I've forgiven myself for the things that's happened, and I feel like I've done the right things to get my life back together. And I feel like this win on Saturday is going to allow the fans to almost to forgive and forget a little bit about that hit and run car accident and start to get excited about my future. I think getting this belt back is just going to set everything in the right direction for people to remember, why I'm an exciting fighter. For people to remember why I'm one of the biggest pay-per-view draws in the sport. I think people have forgot about the things that made me special, and I'm excited to get this win so that it will kind of outweigh what happened 2 years ago, and allow everyone else in the MMA community to start to move forward and heal from that, the way me and my friends and my family and my teammates have moved forward from it already.
Because you have cleaned things up so much, Jon, and I know you made so many changes in your life, this is a big moment for you personally, but on the other side of the octagon, you got, one of your biggest rivals, of course, Daniel Cormier. He's never lost in the sport outside of the one fight with you. So how much of this is about you, getting back what you lost, getting back the title, and how much of it is about the rivalry, about this dislike you have for Daniel Cormier?
I mean, honestly, and I mean this with the bottom of my heart, this this fight to me has nothing. It really has nothing to do with Daniel Cormier. It could be anybody. I mean, Anthony Johnson. It could be Anthony. It could be Gustafsson that got the belt in my absence. This fight for me is about legacy. It always has been. You know, I've had big fights with guys like Rampage Jackson, who hated me, who tried to make me look like a fool. Rashad Evans, you know, we fought for the pride of Jackson's MMA and the pride for Albuquerque. Chael Sonnen, you know, UFC 151 was a nightmare. And then he talked so much trash leading up to the Ultimate Fighter. And then DC, like, I've been in this position so many times, having a kind of an antagonist. And for me, it's always been about chasing greatness. And that's what I'm here for. This DC chapter is going to be over on Saturday, and he's just going to be a part of my legacy. At the end of the day, he will be remembered as one of John Jones' great contenders.
Since you've been gone, John, you know, DC has been, you know, ruling the division. I mean, he has picked up some huge wins. Have you been impressed by DC in his last few fights since your fight with him?
You know, his Alexander Gustafsson fight was awesome. You know, he showed a lot of heart. That was a really great fight. As far as the Anthony Johnson fights, I mean, there's a clear path to beat Anthony Johnson. You take him down to the ground, and you take him out. I mean, the guy's lost to so many people by rear naked chokes. I can't really say I'm that impressed with those victories. I don't know, man. In my mind, I look at it one way. You know, it's like, in order to go to sleep considering yourself the baddest motherfucker that has lived throughout this era, you got to beat the baddest motherfucker. And I mean, he says, you know, well, I didn't have to beat you. You beat yourself. And every time he say that, he validates what I'm saying. Yeah, you did. You just haven't beat me. You know what I mean? So, am I impressed? I mean, you can beat as many people as you want, but until you beat the guy, then you're not the guy.
And one question for Daniel Cormier. DC, you know, hearing what, you know, John is saying, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you know, he is, you know, arguably the greatest of all time. Do you feel like you're going to get that same John Jones you fought before when you fought him in 2015, or do you feel like you're going to get the John Jones maybe you saw against Ovince St. Preux, or even maybe a different version than that? What do you expect out of John Jones in this fight?
You know, I expect him to be as good as he's ever been. A lot of people talk about the Ovince St. Preux fight as if it was some horrible fight, but as I've watched it in my preparation, it wasn't as bad a fight as people try to make it out to be. He should be proud of the way he performed on that night, because that was the best of his ability. You know, he fought as well as he possibly could against Ovince St. Preux. But it wasn't a bad fight. He did a good job. So I expect him to be as good as he was against Ovince St. Preux, because that's as good as he can be. That's who he is. That's his best version of himself.
Thanks, DC. Appreciate it.
Thank you again, *1 for questions. We'll take our next question from Dan Wetzel with Yahoo Sports. Please go ahead.
I wanted to ask each of you, maybe we can start with Daniel and go to John, to just run through the emotions as you remember it now of the night in Vegas when the test came back and the UFC 200 fight was off. Both of you guys were very emotional that night. And I just wonder, how do you recall that night, what you went through? And at that moment, did you ever think that we'd be back to this so quickly, basically just a year later?
You know, the moment was tough. It was very difficult because I had worked hard to try and get the only loss back that I have in my career. With that being said, after the initial shock and sadness of the fight getting canceled, I kind of went back to just preparing myself. You know, as a professional, you have to get back on the horse. You know, I was informed very quickly after he was out of the fight that they were going to try to put something together. So I had to go back to trying to cut weight again, with the idea that I may get a fight. and that's exactly what I did.
And John, I know you were very eager to get to this point. What was your thoughts a year ago?
Well, what hurts me the most about UFC 200 was everything that people didn't see that I'd done to get back to that point. I mean, things got really ugly for me. The lawsuits, the probation, the court stuff. It was so ugly. I mean, the hit that I took, my image. I mean, the situation that I put the girl in, it was terrible. It was terrible, and it took me a long time, and it took me a lot of effort to get back to UFC 200. I was so proud to show my fans that you can come back from anything, and then UFC 200 was going to be the way that I officially said, you know what, look at that, guys, I freaking did it. I didn't give up. I came back bigger and stronger with USADA being a part of the program. Bigger and stronger than ever. I started, and then the UFC 200 situation happened, and I tainted my legacy because of an estrogen blocker, and the beautiful thing about USADA is, they're the #1 drug testing agency in the world.
That's very good.
And they have brilliant people that works for that company. And they were able to prove that I was guilty of being negligent. I took a supplement that was supposed to be a sexual enhancement pill, and it ultimately had 7 ingredients in it when there was only advertised to have 5 ingredients in it. And this is all public documented. I had USADA themselves say that John Jones, in fact, is not a drug cheat, a steroid cheat, but he had an estrogen blocker in him. To have the world try to delegitimize 10 years of being undefeated because of a sex pill, it really hurt. It really hurt. But you know what? It's beautiful because USADA is still here, and I'm excited to have this fight coming up on Saturday, and to give my opponent absolutely no way out of saying this is why I lost. Because right now the storyline is, well, John Jones beat me. Rampage Jackson became the youngest champion ever, became a guy who made it to the UFC after only training for, I think, 7 months. To delegitimize all that by trying to accuse me of being a steroid user, it's almost hysterical. But I'm so excited because of Saturday, USADA is still fully intact. And I'm going to do exactly what I did last time, but I feel like it's going to be in a better fashion. And there will be no excuse for me winning, but my hard work, my heart, my faith, and my belief. And so I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be in this position here. I get to put a lot of the critics to rest. Or like, oh, well, he did it again. Definitely wasn't steroids this time. So I'm just interested to hear what people have to say after Saturday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We go next to AJ Perez with US Today Sports. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is thanks for your time. This is for EC, and a lot's been made of the first meeting with John Jones. It was during UFC 121, I think, actually in Anaheim, which where you guys are fighting on Saturday. What stands up most about that first meeting to you, DC?
Do you want to start now, or do you want to? Just even in the first interaction, that I know on a number of occasions he said that it was kind of to strike up a new friendship. But for me, it was mostly just that in the very first instance, it was something that was, I'm better than you, or it was competitive immediately. And for me, that was the basis that was formed from the moment that we ever came into contact. And I'm okay with it. I'm actually okay with it being competition from the first start. Because if this would have started as something different and then turn into this, then, maybe that could be like me having to maybe I would have to look within myself. But the fact that from the moment, even if it was in jest, it was something competitive. And that was what formed the foundation for him and I's relationship.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
And thank you once again. If you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your phone. We go next to Greg Moore with azcentral.com.
Yeah, this question's for John. John, I'm out here at Arizona Cardinals training camp. You got a message for your brother, and then also, could you tell me about your training going into this fight?
Well, as far as Chandler, I'm super, super proud of him to be in Arizona. I mean, he's really, really living an amazing life. I mean, to be young and to have just signed an $83 million contract and be single, I think that guy lives in like a $4.2 million house. He is the modern day Bruce Wayne, and I'm so proud of him. And as far as the training, man, I was glad to have him down here. I mean, he only stayed for 1 week, but I feel like he changed spiritually in that 1 week. I mean, physically, there's not much you can do in 1 week, but the things that he got to see, I mean, to watch his older brother train 4 times a day, and just live the train between what I eat and just my recovery and just to get right back to the gym. I think it inspired him, and I think it's going to translate in the football field. I don't think there's anything the Cardinals could do to him on that field that would be tougher than what he witnessed me do here at high altitude in Albuquerque. So yeah, I had a great training camp though. To answer your question, right now I weigh about 217. I'm fully hydrated. I've been eating meals all day, and I feel amazing, man. I feel like I'm at age 30, which should be my prime, and no injuries, and super confident. I beat this guy before. We've made some major adjustments, and I'm excited to see what I'm capable of in my very first rematch against a guy that I've already beat. You know, it was like the first time I fought Daniel, it was like, well, he's undefeated, man. Maybe he has it. You know, maybe he has that it factor. You know, some people have that it factor, like Floyd Mayweather or Cael Sanderson or just people who can actually go undefeated. And now that I found out that he doesn't have it, I'm excited to freaking be the GOAT and freaking not only beat this guy, but to finish him this time. And this is what my camp has expected out of me, is finishing people and to provide an output that I don't believe he can handle. So we're excited. We're really excited about this.
Thanks, John.
John, you know you ain't finishing nobody. When was the last time you finished anybody? Now you're going to come back after all this time away and finish me? You've lost your mind. You're not finishing anything.
We tucked it up, and then we took a little bit.
I'll take our next question from Steven Morocco with MMAJunkie.com. Please go ahead.
Well, I just kind of wanted to follow up on that, Daniel. Kind of wanted to just ask you how John is coming across to you in this call, talking about doing the right things, forgiving himself, saying it could be anybody in the cage. How's he coming off to you?
I don't know, because I don't really care. You know, I don't care if he's made changes in his life. I could give two shits if he goes to church every day and he's reading his Bible and he's doing everything perfectly right. I don't care. I don't care if he's out every single night partying. I could give two shits. All I care about is him getting to the octagon on Saturday. He talks about confidence. He talks about finishing. He talks about working hard and all these other things. These are things that champions just do. These are the attributes of a champion in general. It's not about what you do afterwards. These are things that you should always do, and these are the things that I have always done, and I'm always going to continue to do. So yeah, he's confident, but I'm over here confident too, and I don't have to tell you. I'm just going to show you on Saturday night. The one thing that I do take, Steven, is that John hasn't done this for a while because he's a little bit long-winded.
Okay. And John, what was going on with you during that Fox interview this past Saturday when you tore off the headset and you walked out of the shot? Was that just the way it played out in the moment, or was it something else?
How was it?
It was. You mean me walking off at the end of the interview?
Yeah.
I felt like the interview was over.
Okay, it seemed like you kind of stormed off. It didn't seem like a natural exit, so I just wanted to clarify.
I had my blue belt ceremony to get to too. I was I was late for that, and I felt like the interview was over, and I just wanted to be on time and not miss that ceremony.
I gotcha. You mentioned earlier that you've always had an antagonist. Is Daniel Cormier your greatest antagonist?
I would say outside of the octagon, yes, because of all the back and forth and all the verbal. But inside of the octagon, it would have to be Alexander Gustafsson. I mean, he came the closest to actually put me in a spot where I felt like, shit, I'm digging deep right now. Like, I am possibly, I could be losing this. With Daniel Cormier, with Rashad Evans, with anybody else that I beat by unanimous decision, I never felt like, there was never a moment where, like I felt like I was in danger or I had to even dig deeper, like pull out my reserve. I was coasting. I mean, at one point in the first fight, I smiled and looked up at the camera. I was like, this is great. It was fun. It was high pace. He pushed forward and moved forward, but I mean, at no point did I get robbed or wobbled or hurt or he made me bleed or anything. I had my whereabouts at the end of the fight. I remember putting my hands up and he thought the fight was over and he quit like he normally does, and then I slapped him 2 more times and gave him the DX suck it sign. It was a fun fight, and this fight's going to be even more fun. He's 2 years older.
Easy, your response to that?
At this point, I'm really, really not interested in arguing and fighting with this guy anymore. I'm not interested in the back and forth. I'm not interested in all that stuff anymore. My goal is to get into the octagon on Saturday. If all the things that he is saying right now is true, then great. If you feel as though he never had any danger in the first fight, then great. If he feels that my age will be the determining factor in this fight, then great. These are all things that I can look forward to proving him wrong on Saturday. Guy has no idea what he's in for. But I'm just going to sit back here, let him talk, do his job of selling the fight, then I'll go collect my check and defend my belt on Saturday.
I'm glad that he has no intention on arguing because I'm not arguing with him at all. I'm answering you guys' question. I'm also glad that he's in there for his check.
In a very long-winded fashion and trying to say stuff like that he knows isn't true.
Oh, I'm passionate, man. I'm so excited, man. I'm not a commentator. I don't talk for a living, so I talk with my heart. I'm excited about this, man.
You don't think I am? Do you actually think I'm not excited? Hey, John, listen, I can do it too.
Hey, how about we not address each other and answer these questions?
I can do it too, John. I'm excited about this, man. I can do the same shit.
Cool. Well, how about we not address each other and just answer these people's questions? Can we do that? Can we be professional?
Then yes, we can be very professional.
If I could, one last question for John. I just had to read a quote that I read in this great story in Bleacher Report, this profile that you did. It said, I went back to the car to try and find my marijuana pipe. It was in the cup holder, but it flew out. Now I keep it in the middle console. Is that you trolling, or is that real?
That's me trolling. Next question.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, guys.
We'll go next to Dave Deeper with Post Media Network. Go ahead, please.
Hi, guys. Thanks for the time. Just a bit of a follow-up with the talk about rematches. How much time have each of you, John and Daniel, spent watching the tape from your first fight? Daniel, maybe first.
Oh, I've watched the fight. But again, I feel like we're different fighters today than we were then. I'm not gonna gauge my performance this weekend on what happened in January of 2015. So I've watched the fight. Obviously, we've competed against each other before, but as the guy that lost the gauge what I'm going to do on Saturday night based on what happened 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Okay, John.
I watched the first fight a lot. I do, and my team here at Jackson's MMA, we are notorious for studying film. And so the beautiful thing about this rematch is, I've been able to somehow never lose because of what I find in footage. And now I have a blueprint of myself against someone that I've beat before. And this blueprint, it's gigantic because it's my first rematch. I'm super excited about my first rematch. I'm a huge fan of the sport. It's the reason why I didn't fight Chael Sonnen at UFC 151. I don't like fighting without studying first. And to have a blueprint of how to beat Daniel Cormier, of myself beating him, it's gigantic. So we study that fight all the time. We know what he wants. We know a lot of things that he likes to do. And the thing that's most beautiful about being out of the equation for so long is that I've been able to watch him continue to fight over the last 2 years. And me and my team, we've seen very, very small changes. Very small changes. If I'm safe to say no changes. And in my situation against OSP, because I was a little gun shy, I showed almost nothing. I literally did side kicks to the legs the whole time. I threw maybe 3 punches the whole fight, took him down against the cage. Yeah, I've been doing that my whole career. It's something I'm really good at. But I've showed Daniel nothing. He has no clue of the progression. He has no clue what I've changed in my boxing. He doesn't know what I've changed in my clinching. He doesn't know what I've changed in my jiu-jitsu. He has nothing. I've watched him on the ground against Anderson Silva. We know what his top game looks like. I watched him take Anthony Johnson's back. We know what his back control looks like. We know what he's capable of. We have a huge blueprint on him where he really has no clue what I've done differently over the last 2 years.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Once again, press star 1 if you'd like to ask a question. We go next to Mark Raimondi with MMAfighting.com. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the time today. First question is for Cyborg. Cyborg, are you there?
He is not on the line.
Yes. Okay. Well, then Oh, she's there. Hey, Cris. I had a question about the weight, about your weight cut. Where are you right now? And I know that the CSAC has been monitoring you guys more than other commissions have leading up to this fight. Are you happy with where you are now? Are things going okay with your weight cut?
I'm really happy. I'm training. It's still my last fight, and I keep training. I think my cut for 140 hours helped me for really getting low my weight. And I feel very great. I'm feeling great, and it'll be amazing cut. And I feel great. Just today, really close to the weight, and you'll have it still 5 days, 4 days.
Thanks, Cris. And just for John, I think you tweeted a few days ago, John, that you got a call from Anderson Silva. I was just curious, what Anderson said, and then what it meant to you.
Me and Anderson, we talked on the phone for a while, and I really don't want to get too much into what we spoke about, just out of my respect for him. But when it comes to the fight, basically he just told me to know what I'm capable of. He just said, basically in a roundabout way, he just said, know what you're capable of. And he said it was almost surprising to feel the level of fear I felt from Daniel. He said to me, I'm an old man now, and Daniel had to take me down round after round because I felt fear coming off of him. This man has fear in his heart. He said, know what you're capable of. Go out there and you take this from him. In a roundabout way, that's what he said.
And just getting the call from him, did that mean a lot to you?
Well, absolutely. And Anderson Silva is my idol. And he's been the guy that I've respected the most since I was 19 years old and I got into the sport. And to hear him, had that level of faith in me and to pretty much tell me that, it's already done. Now I just got to go out there and do what I'm capable of. It felt great. It felt great coming from him.
Thanks, John.
I tell you what, one thing about me and Anderson, man, is that my takedown defense is solid, dude. There's no taking me down if things don't go your way. And there's definitely no laying on me in half control and half guard the whole time, the way that happened. But anyways.
Thanks, John. DC, can you respond to I guess what John is saying Anderson said in that phone call?
Okay. Yeah, it's good that they're friends. I mean, it's good that they're friends. It's good that Anderson called him with advice. But, that would almost be like me having Glover Teixeira calling me to tell me how to beat John Jones. He lost. It's much easier to give advice to someone about someone you lost to. You don't want to see me win. I beat him. He doesn't want to see me win. So go get John to do the job that he couldn't do. So it doesn't bother me. I could really care less if everybody calls him and tells him how he should beat me or what they felt when they were in the octagon with me. If a guy's going to just fall down in the middle of the octagon and let me get on top of him, I will gladly take that.
Fair enough. And just last thing for me, the promos for this fight have gotten a lot of critical acclaim. I was just curious about how you guys felt about him. John and DC, starting with you, John. Were you okay with how the promos came out and how they portrayed you and that whole thing?
The first time I watched it, I was uncomfortable with it because it showed me talking in 2011 and saying how I would never want to do something that would harm the image of the sport, and that was genuine, man. I never intended on having an image of being the bad guy. I really didn't. And somewhere along the way, I got lost, man, and I got caught up in my own shit, man. I started having fun and partying and still winning, and I just took it all for granted. Genuinely, I really wanted to be an inspiration to other people and to inspire people and just to be a role model. That was my original thought, and somewhere along the line, I just stopped caring. And I started, living for myself, and the promo was honest. The proof is in the timeline. It was all right there, and I curated that. But the beautiful thing about the promo, I felt was my life and my mistakes are just so out there. I don't need DC to try to convince everyone that I'm this terrible human being. People can judge me for how they want to see me. It's already out there. It's all out there in the public. And that's a freeing feeling to be looked at as a piece of shit by so many people. And to be able to just be real with yourself and to take responsibility for the things you've done wrong and just I don't know, I feel so free, man. It's a great feeling to be who I am. Even John Jones, the fuck up John Jones, the great, however you look at me, it's just great to be me, alive, whether you like me or hate me. It's just a great feeling to be relevant. And I'm excited, man, because at the end of the day, when you get to a certain low, the only place you can go is up. And I'm excited to be 30 years old and to have a good team of people around me right now, and to go up. I think my story is going to really inspire somebody else who has fucked up. It's going to really inspire somebody else to realize that it is not over. Man, if John Jones would come back from the shit that he's been through and ultimately win and be the champion that he's always been capable of being, man, I think it's going to inspire other people. And I'm glad that I'm used. My life can be used as a laughingstock or whatever it may be to ultimately inspire. If it's just one person that continues to fight because of my life, dude, I'm glad to be in this position. So yeah, to answer your question, the promo was honest, and I'm just excited to finish the story. The story's not over. We're not our past. We're not our mistakes. Well, we're what we do with it. And like I said, my hit run was 2 years ago, and I've done a lot of right things since then, and I'm going to continue until people can start to see that I'm here to stay, and I'm here to win and be a dominant champion and try to do things better in the future.
Thanks, John. And just for Daniel, kind of same question. What do you think of the promo? And do you think it was too focused on John? How did you feel about it overall?
No, I thought they did a fantastic job. You know, you watch some of these other fights, and they don't get that type of detail in the promotion. I thought it was the story as it needed to be told. I think the greatest hook for people is the story of redemption. And if we want people watching the story of redemption, then that was the story that needed to be told. The beauty in this situation is that I get to be the person that doesn't allow for the ultimate redemption. There is redemption in this story. You know, there are things that he has said that is very true. When you have to scrape yourself off the ground, and when you're at your lowest point, you look up to a future that can actually mean something. But the redemption is the fact that he gets to go back and compete. The redemption isn't the championship anymore. That's just the reality. The reality that is that he gets another opportunity to be a good citizen, to be a good competitor, and just a good human being in general. You take from that, you learn from all those mistakes, and do that. But the story of redemption is not getting his hand raised in the octagon this weekend. Maybe later, but not right now.
I mean, listen to who that's coming from. Of course, that wouldn't be the story of redemption in your mind.
And again, could we please just answer these people's question? I'm very quiet when he's talking, but to answer his question now, redemption is getting to do the things that he's getting to do this weekend. Everybody doesn't need the ultimate redemption, but he will get redemption by getting to compete again.
Well, now it's the ultimate, and then there's regular redemption. Okay, I get it.
But I said the fact that you've actually picked yourself up, if it was that low and gotten yourself back to this point, great on you. But that's his redemption.
Thanks so much, guys.
Once again, press star 1 if you'd like to ask a question. We go next to Kendrick Johnson with ringtv.com. Please go ahead.
John, kind of piggybacking off of what you were talking about your mistakes and stuff in public. How much truth is it that you woke up at 2 p.m. when y'all fought last time after a night of partying and being hungover to pull off the performance that you did and dominate?
That's an epic story, but that's not true. That's not true at all. No, did I waking up at 2 p.m. and fighting there's no truth behind that whatsoever.
And why didn't you take a tune-up fight for this fight? Is this because of the confidence of already getting a win, or just something that y'all know that we don't know that makes it easier just for you go out all this time off, basically being only one fight in 2 years to fight a guy as the caliber of DC?
Because DC is unquestionably he's a great fighter, but I feel like this is my era. I feel like DC's position is to be my whoever you can't do something special without a great competitor to go against, and I just feel like this is my time. And call me crazy, but I feel like I'm gifted, and I feel like that I was put on this earth to do this. I feel like this is what I was born to do. And when you believe in your victory like that, it allows you to not even trip about DC or any of these other guys who people think is great. You know, it's like I believe that I'm the one. I believe it with my whole heart. My kids, I tell my kids that I'm the one. They look at me like I'm the one. I've obsessed myself and I've convinced myself that I'm something special. And when you believe that in your heart, man, you're dangerous, bro. Especially when you have the work ethic and the athleticism to back it up. And so I don't feel like I need a warm-up fight. Either you got it or you don't. And throughout DC's career, it's been proven time after time again that he is not the one. If he was the one, he would have beat Cael Sanderson. If he was the one, he would have won the Olympics. If he was the one, he would have beat me the first time. I believe that I'm the one, and I'm going to prove it another time this Saturday.
and leads me to my next question. This is for DC. How much does it bother you to kind of go in WWE terms? He knows he can beat you. As of right now, the narrative is you think you can beat him. How much is that a motivating factor, or does that bother you?
It doesn't bother me because I don't question myself in regard to this competition. I don't feel like I can't beat John Jones. I don't question whether or not I'm going to get my hand raised. You know, if that's the idea that you guys take into the fight on Saturday, then that's great. That's okay. But me and the people around me, we have no doubt that we're going to get the job done. So I don't think in those terms. I don't know who that competes at the highest level actually thinks in those terms. It just doesn't make any sense.
Got you. And are you worried about the people that said John's added a ground game and things like that about Jackson? Basically, the Jackson team wants to finish you and basically put them on their resume. Does that bother you, or just something like just all talk to you?
It's all noise, man. All of it's just noise. You know, all the other stuff from before, whatever. Like, you know, the anger and the animosity and all the bad blood and all that other stuff that this fight was built on the first time, I really don't care about it anymore. For me, it's about getting in there and competing. Going in there and doing what I feel I'm able to do, and that's getting the job done. I'm not worried about what this jiu-jitsu and all this stuff. I've done jiu-jitsu my entire career. I've done it the whole time. I'm confident in my jiu-jitsu. I'm confident in my grappling. I didn't have to do it late, so it's not a big story now. So no, it's not. It doesn't bother me. Nothing bothers me.
And for you to say that it's all noise, I'll say for him to say it's all noise, because I'm not addressing you, DC. For him to say it's all noise, it would be all noise if we didn't prove the first time that we can beat you. It's not all. If we had never fought before, it would be all noise. But everything that comes out of my mouth is what I truly feel to be true. So it's not all noise. The proof is in the pudding.
And my final question is for Cris. Cris, how would it feel to finally hear your name as a UFC champion and Dana putting that belt around your waist if you're successful on Saturday like you expect?
You know, for me, I'm thinking I'm the world champion. I'm 10 years in the city. I'm gonna be a couple months, I'll be 12 years, and then I feel like I'm the champion. And then get the belt UFC, just gonna be one more belt in my career. And for me, fight Saturday will be like my defense, my belt. And then I feel very blessed to be part of the show. And you know, I feel very, very good. And I want to show all my fans and my new fans why I 10 years in the season.
Thanks. Good luck to everybody on Saturday.
Okay.
Thank you. We go next to John Fuentes with Give Me Sport. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. This question's for both John Jones and Daniel Cormier. We'll go first Cormier, then Jones. How do you guys feel your rivalry with one another has evolved or hasn't evolved over the years, given all the obstacles that have gotten in your way of finally getting this rematch?
Well, I mean, I just feel like competitively, it's the highest level of that you can see. I think it's gotten a bit old because we've had to do this on so many different occasions. But as I've said time and time again, this rivalry is a rivalry when I win the fight this weekend. If you don't win the fight, it's no rivalry. It's two guys that were fighting on more than one occasion. It's a rivalry when I win this weekend. But it's gotten a little bit old because we've done it so many times. But outside of that, it's just, to me, I feel it's the highest level of mixed martial arts that people can truly experience.
Mr. Jones?
Ask your question again. I'm sorry.
No problem. I asked, how do you feel that the rivalry has or hasn't evolved throughout the years, given all the obstacles that's come in the way of the rematch finally happening?
I feel like the rivalry, well, I think Daniel's right. It's not really a rivalry. Like I said, the whole beginning of this thing, I tried to be nice to him as a young black kid, seeing that he's came last as his coach, and he was a wrestler who had far greater credentials as me. I thought I was going to freaking meet this guy. I thought we were going to be cool. I thought we would have a new inside joke every time I saw him. And his pride and his whatever pre-notions, ego that he had about me before, I didn't know who he was. He knew who I was when we met. And anyways, I never had a problem with him. I don't have problems with people that I've beaten already. I don't got a problem with Glover or Chael or Andre Guzman, none of those guys. He has a problem with me. And I hate him because he hates me. But anyways, this whole thing that we're going through, it has become an attack of my character. That's all this thing is. It's an attack of my character. When people ask Daniel what he thinks about me inside of the octagon, he has shit to say about me. And I'm here to fight. I'm not here to protect my whether you think I'm a good person or not. I've given up on that. I don't give a crap what people think about me at this stage in my career. I freaking not even an ounce. I'm happy with the father I am, the person that I am, the friend that I am, the teammate that I am. Everybody else don't even matter. Their opinions don't even matter. And this whole thing, to answer your question, how has it evolved or not evolved? This is the first time I've been against someone who literally just fighting to prove that I'm a bad guy. Fuck it. Call me the bad guy. I'm not fighting to be the good guy. I've never had anyone just attack. I mean, listen to his interviews. It's always the same shit. Now he's trying to freaking convince the world that I did steroids. That actually gets to me a little bit because I think deep down this motherfucker knows that I wouldn't do steroids. Come on now. Being the youngest champion. You mean to tell me I'm smart enough to outsmart fucking USADA and fucking the Nevada Athletic Commission for 10 years? But I failed a Coach King test? I'm a mastermind steroid user that beat all these guys for 10 years? He knows in his heart that I didn't do steroids. But anyways, I feel like I answered your question. This whole thing has become a tag of John Jones's character. I feel like when Daniel loses, he'll be able to say, well, I'm a fucking good guy. I'm a good guy, and at least people will respect me for being a good champion when I had that belt in John's absence. And I think that he deserves respect because he is a good guy. But you don't have to shit on other people to try to make yourself seem that much better, Daniel. We see that you're a good person. We can see that you're a great husband, father, wrestling coach, team captain. I admire a lot of things about you. You're a fucking great dude. But you don't gotta fucking try to convince the world that I did steroids, bro. Just fucking say, look yourself in the mirror and say, God damn it, he's younger than me, he's athletic, and he beat my ass. And he's gonna do it again. Don't fucking try to crush somebody else's image to make yourself seem more mighty. You're already a fucking good dude.
Just a follow-up for Cormier, if I could. This fight has been rescheduled several times before. Is there any doubt in your mind that this fight will take place this weekend?
No, I have no doubt. I'm sure he's done everything right to make sure that we get to the octagon on Saturday. So I'm happy about that. But, gee.
Thank you, gentlemen. Best of luck to both of you this weekend.
Moving next to Damon Martin from MMAweekly.com. Please go ahead.
Question for Tyron Woodley. Tyron, you have said numerous times you've been willing to step up for the big fights that are out there, the George St. Pierre's, the Michael Bispings and things like that. But ultimately, you faced the guys that the UFC has put in front of you. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson on 2 occasions, now Demian Maia, and maybe they're not the most marketable opponents, so to speak. I mean, do you feel like that says a lot about your character, that ultimately you are willing to always face the toughest guy, no matter how much it may not, end up as the biggest paycheck in your bank account?
I just think that when I was finding my way to the top to try to become a champion, that, I wanted the best guys. I wanted the Johnny Hendricks fight, the Paulo Counter fight. Even in defeat against Rory McDonald, that fight made sense for me to put me in a position to fight for a world title. Unfortunately, my division just has 2 of the last Mohicans when it comes down to specialists. Wonder Boy is a specialist as what he does, and people that don't respect that and just dart in and get frustrated and try to go after him, those are the guys that get knocked out and step on the canvas. Demian Maia is going to be the same guy. What I like a rivalry like these two gentlemen have that really makes so many people excited about the fight. Oh, of course, that puts you in a position where you remember. I think every great champion needs that rivalry rematch trilogy that gets fans talking about them because they can resonate with it. But if it's not a huge draw, it's because of our sport. It's not really that Demian Maia is not a worthy opponent. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He's a world-class guy. People just respect striking, not just striking, aggressive striking, knockout blood. That's what our fans love to watch. So if it's not going to be an opponent that is going to, basically get everybody talking, and maybe sometimes I'm not that opponent. Who knows? But I'm fighting on a phenomenal card. This is a crazy point in history. Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones has one of the most authentic rivalries that we've ever seen in our sport, outside of Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. Both great opponents. And to be honest, man, I'm just trying to get the party started. I'm trying to be the hype man. I'm going out there and trying to do fast work on my opponent so I can actually get through my interviews and watch the fight.
And, Tyron, you told me in the past that, ultimately your goal is to be the greatest welterweight of all time. Considering you now have the win and maybe a win and a half, however you want to look at it with Wonder Boy, considering, a lot of people felt you won the first fight as well. And then, if you go out there and beat Demian Maia, who's on, I don't want to get this on 6 or 7 fight win streak, dominant through pretty much every performance he's had. I mean, how, in your own head, how close do you feel like you are to getting closer to that goal of becoming the greatest welterweight of all time?
It's one step, but it's not a huge step, to be honest, because, obviously, it's a guy named George St. Pierre that's out there talking about still fighting. There's other welterweights, like Nick Diaz, who was, in my opinion, a lineal top 10, top 5 welterweight. There's other fights and things that could make me the greatest welterweight. It's also the way I go out there and fight guys. I can open up a little bit more and let guys have it. I possess all the tools and all the skills and explosiveness and conditioning. Sometimes it's the way that I fight against opponents that can put me in that position. So I think this will be a step forward. It won't be a huge, long jump, but it'll be a step forward. And I'm in it for the long haul, man. I'm not trying to win 2 or 3 fights and get out of this. I'm trying to grow as a champion and, grow into a superstar.
Awesome. For Demian Maia, Demian, you've been on this incredible win streak, and you've been kind of waiting for this moment a couple of different times. If not for the draw in the first fight with Wonder Boy, you probably would have gotten that title fight before now. Has it been frustrating, and have you used that frustration to get you ready for this fight with Tyron Woodley to finally get your shot at the title?
Yeah, of course it was very frustrating, but at the same time it gives me strength, and and I was able to prove myself that I have the mindset and the strength to wait, and to be ready and to keep fighting, and to be ready for this fight. So was bad, but was also good.
And, Demian, you've made no secret, your ability to take guys to the ground and submit them and apply your grappling game. You've really gone to that, heavily in your last, 6 or 7 fights where you've been on this win streak. Do you make any secret that, that's the plan once again with Tyron Woodley, that you want to go out there, get him to the ground, and try to submit him?
Yeah, there's no secret about that, but, I always... I have little secrets in my game and little details that I work, every camp and little stuff that people don't see. Of course, it's not easy to see if I don't show. I'm not gonna show this right now, just when I finish my career. So, but every fight I come with some little secrets and little different details from my attacks. That's why people are always expecting the same, and they get caught anyways.
Yeah. And a question for Tonya Evinger. Tonya, going into this fight, you're the underdog. Cris Cyborg is everything that, we say about her. She's undefeated for 10 years. She's knocked out, anybody and everybody who stepped in the octagon with her. But do you relish that role at all? Do you kind of like being the underdog and, kind of coming into this fight where there's so much attention on her and, you have the opportunity to shock the world?
Yeah, I think I'm the underdog every time, so it's just one of the roles I play. I seem to get the fans that don't think I'm as good a fighter as I am, and And just to make a correction, I am also an Invicta World Champ, so they didn't announce that at the beginning. But I think that we're both just two dominating champions. I think this is a super fight, and it's a fight that could have happened a long time ago, and it's just definitely one to watch.
And my final question, Tonya, without giving away any kind of strategy or game planning, but because Cris has been so dominant, no one has really been able to expose any weaknesses in her game. I couldn't remember the last time she's lost a round in a fight, maybe not since her debut when she lost a fight. But when you look at her, when you break down footage, do you see weaknesses? Do you believe you found weaknesses in Cris Cyborg's game?
I don't go in any fight thinking that my opponent has any weakness. I just go in there to put my style out there and be offensive myself. And I did an interview actually, and they asked me that. You've never had anybody actually come at you like I come at you, but I think that she's kind of had that same role in all her fights too. She's been the most dominating one in her fight. So I think that we're both coming in this two strong opponents with the similar style, but kind of complete opposite styles. So, I think it's just one of them things. I don't really game plan for a fight. I look where I'm strong, and I look where I think that I can win certain rounds and stuff like that, or certain positions, and I go about it that way. But the fight, you never know what they're training or what they're changing. So I just go in with an open mind and able to adjust where I need to.
Awesome. Thanks, Tonya.
No problem.
And this concludes today's question and answer session. At this time, I'll turn the conference back over to your host, Matt Radmanovich, for closing or additional comments.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join the call today. I appreciate all 6 athletes that took time out of their busy schedule and the preparations to come on. Just a quick reminder, UFC 214 takes place Saturday, July 29th at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, and we'll feature those 3 title bouts to headline the card. We'll see everybody Saturday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.